Hello there, my name is Cheekster, and this game is called Submerged Lights. I believe the image we're looking at right now is a nighttime view of a submerged town. Can you see the buildings? The lights above reflecting on the water below, possibly lights coming up from below. It's a quaint, cute, indie game, lovely little demo. We're going to give it a go. Let us begin. The voice? No. When I paddle over to the library, I find no boats or rafts to speak of. Lovely. However, I find that the large windows of the building were shattered during the initial impact of the flood. That's unsurprising, you see. Even one of the windows of my home was shattered, and it wasn't as big as any of these. I paddle over to the window in front of me to inspect it. Then I call out. Andrew says, "Hey, is anyone here? In the library?" No one replies. "I am not a cop. I saw the light of your lantern." Once again, there was no reply. Things stay just as still and just as quiet as silence falls upon the abandoned library. Sadness. Careful. I try to reach the broken glass at the bottom of the window pane in front of me with my little paddle. I can't, however, meaning I can simply raft inside without tearing anything. Carefully, I do so. "I'm coming in," I call to the hidden lanterned person. I slowly paddle to the bookshelves. As I do, it occurs to me that I might stumble upon a dead body. In that case, I'd be unable to contact the police until the following day. I have no cell phone, and there wouldn't be any reception out here even if I did. And I hate that, because I can't watch cat videos during the apocalypse. As I paddle around the area, however, it seems there isn't anything to fear. "Hello? Is anyone here? I'm absolutely safe. You can take my word for it." Despite that, however, my voice lowers and starts to shake. Soon I find the source of the light. Ah. It seems like someone simply forgot their lantern on one of the shelves before they fled. Thus, I am alone, still, yet again, drifting, bobbing on the black inky waters, inside a library I once cherished. I can't help but let out a sigh of relief. I don't know how long this lantern's been left on for, but it's impressive that it hasn't run out of power. Or oil, perhaps. Its light is soft and warm. Okay, it's fine. Thankfully, the shelves are spaced out far enough that I can paddle between them, and I do so. It's rather fun. I suppose I was needing a light source anyway. As I approach the lantern, however, I'm stunned. What is this? It seems to be a tiny lady with wings, emanating light, trapped perhaps in a glass. I'm Andrew, I believe. I think I'm most stunned I have ever been in my entire life. Is that a fairy? I feel like questioning that fact because that's an insane thing to say. But there's no doubting what I'm looking at. It is a fairy. As I say that, the fairy looks at me, right in the eyes, with her illuminated balls of eyes. She and we make eye contact. It's Rather sweet. The fairy says nothing, and nor do I. And given the fact that she's right here in front of me and looking at me, I try to push aside my awe just for a moment. A fairy. Hey there. Are you trapped here? He says nothing. She looks at me still, in her lantern. For quite a long time, we're silent. I'm not sure why, but I just stare at her, and she just stares at me. Then I say the only thing I can think of. You're very pretty. Are you hungry? I'm sure even a lady as small as you could manage a burger. She continues looking at me through the glass. Can you understand me? You must be starving in there. Again, there's silence. But then she opens her mouth, tiny mouth, with a tiny voice, and I hear her voice. It's a little quiet, probably due to the size of her lungs, and the fact that there's a wall of glass between us. But I can still hear her. Hello, she says. I smile softly. A simple greeting. Hello. She's surprised and glows with more brightness. You. I. You can hear me? I can't help but smile, and I nod to her. Yes, I can hear you. If you can hear me, can you repeat some numbers back to me? 1, 2, 4, 1, 7, 1, 1. 1, 2, 4, 4, 7, 1, 1. Did I get that right? She smiles. You actually can hear me. I can't believe it. Can you see me too? Not just a vague light, but my body in detail. I nod. Yes, I can see you. Can you see me? She continues to smile. She seems giddy. Her feet tap on the floor with excitement. She spins a little bit, and her hand reaches out and presses against the glass. Then she lets out a considerable sigh. No one's ever been able to see or hear me before. I nod, listening. And yet I try to level out my emotions in the midst of said situation. Even though I attempt to do so, however, I can't stop myself from smiling at the small fairy. A fairy? You're trapped in there, aren't you? Are you hungry? Do you want me to get you out of here? She says nothing still. She smiles with some sadness. I wouldn't mind getting out of here. Can I spend some more time with you, though? I haven't been able to spend time with anyone for a very long time before. Oh, in that case, were you able to spend time with other people before me, after all? Ha 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 ha, she says. Don't be jealous. I expect her to dismiss my teasing comment, but she laughs awkwardly instead. Maybe that was a bit tactless of me. But I'm just excited to see her, and I have very little impact, or rarely come across women. That finding a small fairy woman in a glass jar after a catastrophic event that could have hit my head. I thought I was all alone out here. To think, I not only have company, but such company as this. I guess I misspoke a little. Well, I'm able to spend time with other fairies in the mine, but. Huh? Her words immediately strike me, bringing me low from my place of giddy excitement. Oh? We would only really be able to talk a little bit when the humans were taking a break, or after one of their shifts. This is 2 or 3 of us we would be put on top of our owners' lockers, next to each other and would get to talk after hours. I would always get locked up in my owner's locker, though, so I was never able to spend time with the others really. My heart sinks as I hear her story, but she gives me a little smile. Fairies on top of the lockers would sometimes talk into the night. I couldn't quite make out what they were saying from where I was, but it was nice hearing their voices. Hearing them talk helped me fall asleep. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. That's quite tragic. I can't believe. I mean, that is quite horrible. You are aware of that, right? She smiles with sadness. It's how it was. Up until the flood, that is. Her saddened expression looks more distant as she says, I don't suppose any of the others are alive anymore. Lanterns would rarely leave mine. I'm so sorry. She nods and says nothing more. I had the thought to introduce myself, but it occurs to me that she might not have a name. I don't want to make her uncomfortable. Just ask her a name. I'd really like to take you home with me, if you'd be okay with that. What do you think? She looks to me with a sad smile. Is it bad? I don't know. Would you? I give her a sad smile of my own. Of course, as if I could just leave you here. Ah. She goes quietly sad and nods. Okay, thank you. I nod in return. Hmm. Overlooked Option Visual Novels proudly presents Submerged Lights, where a silly Billy boy collects scattered fairies in the midst of a chaotic flood. Yes. Water fairy. Fairy says, oh my goodness. She looks out to the vast, open waterscape as we leave the building, the surface of water sparkling in the light of the stars and moon. There's so much. It's everywhere. Of course, this is probably the first time she's actually seeing the extent of the flooding. She couldn't see much from her position on that bookshelf. It's strange to think that I saw this sight earlier than her. For a while, I let her take it in. I I can't imagine being stuck on that shelf all alone, being left behind. I wish I knew what to say, but for right now, at least, the words elude me. Hey, she gives me her attention. Do you know if anyone else is trapped in the library? She thinks for a moment before shaking her head. Well, no, I don't think anyone else is trapped in there, but there is another person, a woman, I think. She visits the library from time to time during the day and leaves when it starts getting dark. I've never seen her, and she's never seen me. I've only ever heard her. She talks to herself, sometimes. That's why I think she's a woman, judging from her voice. Oh, I see. She touches her heart. By the way, it's very touching that you asked if I was hungry. May I have some cheese, bread, milk, human sacrifice? No one's ever asked me that before. We don't need to eat, but we need to breathe. And we need to rest. That's why our lanterns have air holes. Why are they in lanterns? Why would you put them in lanterns? Why? I nod in understanding. So it's known that they die without oxygen. Hey, that was probably found out through trial and error by whoever was trapping fairies in lanterns. Thank God that she was on the high enough shelf. Oh, that's a good point. Do you mind if I say something? Okay. You know the mine better than I do, and I have no way of getting down there at the moment, but it's possible that some of your friends are still alive. This shocks her, but I continue. You said 2 or 3 of the workers were in the habit of putting their lanterns on the top of their lockers after their shifts, right? In that case, I could see the fairies on top of the lockers being okay. It's possible that pockets of air may have formed in the locker room, and if the fairies were left in a high enough place, it's possible that a few of them, at least, might be alive. Even if they were trapped there since the flood, their lungs are so tiny, I could see them still having air to breathe. The fairy is taking this news admirably. This must be very difficult for her to hear. I'm telling her that her friends might still be alive after she's already made peace with their death. And at the same time, as I'm teasing her with this hope, I'm also letting her know that it's only a possibility, not a guarantee. It must be difficult to hear. Therefore, I can't help but admire how strong she's being at this moment that I'm creating. That might not be the case, though. I don't want to give you false hope. I'm just saying that there might be a possibility. Her features settle sadly. She nods to me. I understand. Thank you. I nod in return. Given the situation, I can't help but feel rather uncomfortable, thinking of her as a light source. I don't quite know how to feel about it. That said, she certainly does make a good one. I can't dispute that fact. It's just, I know the reason she was put on into that lantern in the first place was because of her radiance. The fact that she shines brightly is simply the truth. And yet I can't help feel a little bit sore about it. At the same time, it would be silly to pretend she doesn't emit light. Attributes like her emitting light or other people having various strengths aren't meant to be ignored, and weaknesses aren't meant to be ignored either. I don't know why, but for some reason, looking at the fairy reminds me of my old job. At my old job, people were very concerned with abstract ideas and took offence whenever the truth was said. Whenever someone would tell the truth about strengths or weaknesses, or about pretty much anything, they'd get scolded. Then later, those people would slowly disappear. Anyone who disagreed with the philosophies of those in charge, even if they brought up valid concerns, or rather, especially if they brought up valid concerns. Oh, sorry, I clicked too fast. Hang on, can we go back? In the end, management didn't care about reality. They only cared about their feelings and whether or not they liked or disliked people. As for myself, I didn't say or do anything particular to lose my job. I didn't even bring up proofs regarding strengths or weaknesses or anything else controversial. I was just fired one day. An email was sent to me while I was sleeping, urgently, telling me to arrive at work in 2 hours. I woke up to find that not only that email, but also an email telling me that I was fired for poor attendance. I wasn't sleeping in. I was sleeping during the time which was normal for me to do so, and considering the schedule I was on. And they knew that. I had been clear for months that people at work didn't like me. At last, one of them decided to do something about me. That's all it came down to. I went through a period of resentment, but honestly, that sort of behavior is sad. I feel sorry for people who act like that. And if that's how they are, I'm glad to be away from them. It's true that it was a bit of a blow. But if it wasn't for that act, I wouldn't be out here with this beautiful fairy, enjoying the lovely scenery. And what waits for people who do things like that? It's sad to think about. At times like this, it's easy to understand why it's good to pray for our enemies and forgive them. I I don't want anyone to go to hell. And if I did, how cruel and hypocritical would that be of me? The high ground was achieved. Regardless of my past circumstances, though, lights aren't meant to be ignored, and strengths and weaknesses aren't meant to be disregarded. And more than that, we can't value our emotions over truth. Our emotions constantly change, but the truth remains constant. With that being the case, it's obvious that truth is what we should use as a foundation. Putting philosophy aside, however, ignoring reality simply leads to people getting hurt, not just emotionally, but physically as well. When we ignore reality, people end up getting killed. This is turning very slippery into a dark situation. For a time, I found myself simply looking at the little fairy as I paddle. She really is beautiful. It is strange that I want to look at her and soak in her beauty. I suppose that isn't strange at all. For a while, I raft in silence, letting the little woman rest. We slowly make it to my house. As we do so, she looks at me, questioningly. Ah, I suppose an explanation is needed. She doubtlessly assumed I lived somewhere outside the flooded town. Oh, how should I put this? Sorry, this is sort of awkward, but I live here. For now, at least. She looks rather sad at that. Really? Her sadness makes me a little embarrassed, and I decide to tell her a little bit of my story. Yeah, I inherited this place from my great grandparents. I came here without knowing about the flood and only got here tonight, so for the time being, this is where I'll be staying. She gives me a sad smile. Ah, is that so? I nod. She looks down for a moment in thought. Then, I hope you don't think I'm judging you. Ah, here we go again. Another lady judging me. Andrew and the fairy in silence. Thank you, I appreciate that. She doesn't strike me as a judgmental person, but it does still but it still does my heart good to hear her say that. I think did we miss something? Oh, right. I think I'm judging you. Sorry. I just missed a bit. Okay. She was worried. It was nice that she said she wasn't judging him. That was nice. Because maybe it sounds like the character feels overly anyway, I will talk about it at the end of the video. I'm sorry. Let's just move on. And I was thinking about how important it is to keep our emotions in check too. It certainly is easy to get bruised. Ah. In situations like this, it's easy to understand why pride is a sin. I'll try to relax, Fairy says. Say, she pulls me from my thoughts. I know it's late, but would you mind talking with me a little more tonight? As she says those kind words, the last of those shadows rise from my heart, and I nod. I'd like that. She looks to me and smiles. Thanks. For a moment, I look at her and allow myself to be happy. She really is a little light source. Tearing my eyes away from her, I turn my attention to the house. There's no way through the window without a tool. I've got to swim through the broken window on the first floor, go upstairs and let you in. Her eyes widen in shock, and she nods. Don't leave me alone. Splash, splash. Swim, swim. Thankfully, I'm able to swim through the broken window without any difficulty. As I could gather from the water level outside, the first floor isn't entirely flooded, so I'm able to raise my head and breathe. I look around in the darkness. My raft is floating outside the window of the bedroom of the second floor, one with the open door. As such, my friend's light drifts through the house and lights up the staircase I need to find. When I reach the steps, I'm met with a pleasant stone staircase, rather than one made of wood or one with wet carpeting. I climb the stairs and I am easily able to find the fairy. In the room, I open the window and take out its screen, setting it on the floor against the wall. Then I take a moment to assess my surroundings and I figure out what to do. After a bit of figuring, I move the nightstand under the window and climb on top of it. Laying on it, I'm able to reach the inflatable raft out of the window with my sopping wet hand. I pull it closer to me, thankful to have reached it before it drifted away. Fairy says nothing. Pulling the raft closer, I take my friend's lantern inside and set it on the desk. As I do, I let out a sigh of relief. I'm blessed to have a dry room to my name. Standing here, wet and cold, in the middle of the night, the reality of my situation is really hitting me. I'm floored by the fact that I have shelter. It makes me a little emotional. I shiver and feel the urge to sneeze. However, so I work quickly. I grab my backpack from the raft, bring it through the window, and set it on the floor beside me. I then double check the window for needles and staples which would puncture the raft, and finding none, I start deflating it through the window. Once it's deflated, I move the nightstand away from the window and drape the raft over the sill to dry. As soon as this is done, I pick up the Aetheria's lantern and search the house for something to dry myself off with. After finding some clean towels in the closet, I take my backpack with me, which some clean dry clothes in it, and change in the darkness of the upstairs bathroom. My friend said she wouldn't mind illuminating me while I changed, reminding me that she did spend much of her life in men's locker room. But I wasn't comfortable with that. I told her that showing a girl my body is something special, which I don't want to do on a whim. I could tell that meant something to her, and after hearing those words, she let me change in the dark. I let out a sigh as I re-enter my room, dry and refreshed. As I do, I think about the rest of my belongings sitting by the shore. They're probably still there in the morning. I don't know if I want to keep us up late, doing a bunch of back and forth trips. And I'm already pretty tired, and you've already changed into dry clothes. What would be the point? I'd like to spend the night eating some food from my backpack and spend the time with my new friend. That's what I would like to do, but while it's extremely unlikely that anyone would take my belongings between now and tomorrow morning, they really are the only things I have. if I were to find them missing next day purely due to my own negligence. Hey. The fairy continues to look at me from her position on the desk. I'm sorry to keep you up, but would you mind helping me out some more tonight? What? She seems disappointed. Maybe. She smiles warmly. No, I wouldn't mind at all. Ah, I came across such a sweetheart in the middle of the night in this strange place. Thanks. After reinflating the raft out the window and lowering the two of us onto it, we're once again on the water. It feels like a little strange and unpleasant being back here after spending a little bit of time in my new cozy house. But there's nothing for it. I simply have more work to do. Besides, it's not bad. The stars reflecting off the water and the calm sound of the waves are lovely and beautiful. Thinking about it, I'm feeling affected by all these new locations. They must be affecting her all the more. It seems like she spent all of her life in that mine or else in the library. I don't think she's ever entered a cozy bedroom before, for example. She's probably hardly ever spent time in the streets of this town either. And even if she were used to those streets, they're now flooded. Is there a subcontext here? Once again, I find myself thinking it's strange and sad that I may be more used to this place than she is. Well, with that said, I can see her sleeping quite well tonight. It's true that she hasn't had time to adjust to the bedroom, but I can't help but think she'll find it more relaxing place to sleep than inside of the metal locker. That said, she might be feeling like she's been camping out a lot lately, thanks to her time in the library. And while I don't personally find the idea of sleeping inside a metal locker to be attractive, it must be very familiar to her. Even if it's cold and sheer, it might feel like home to her, and there's much comfort to be had at home. I find myself putting myself in her position and not only empathizing with her, but also finding it interesting. I don't mean to be heartless by any means. I understand well enough that she and all the fairies have gone through much, but what must it be like to be so small that one could camp in a bookshelf or a library? I find ideas like that to be charming and interesting. Thanks again for helping me. I mean, she looks to me, apparently coming out of her thoughts. You're welcome. Thankfully, these waters are very, very calm. I'm able to paddle very easily, especially by her light. I look at her as we quietly travel. The lantern can't be opened easily. Hey. She shakes her head. Maybe I can find some pliers or something and take the air vent off. She looks at me, wide-eyed. What are you saying? Well, I'd like to set you free, of course. It must be terrible living your whole life in a lantern. She looks a little bit sad at that. Oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings in any way. I give her a small smile. It's natural that I'd want to free you from the lantern, just like it was natural for me to want to free you from that bookshelf. She's quiet as I continue to paddle. Then she speaks. I've never seriously thought about leaving my lantern before. My heart sinks at that. It's my home, you know. I've been here all my life. I thought I'd hear someone in sorry. I never thought I'd hear someone in her situation say something like that. But now what? I'm thinking about it. It's natural for her to grow attached to her lantern. After all, we humans grow attached to our rooms and houses. Just like she may be attached to her old metal locker, she's attached to her lantern. In a way, I suppose her situation isn't terribly different from my own. I could easily see someone wanting to take me from my new home and put me into a better one. Well, I can respect that. Don't misunderstand. I'm not going to force you to leave it. Again, she seems taken aback. It just makes sense to give you the option to leave. As far as I understand, you've never had the option before. I think it would be good for you to get out of your lantern now and then and interact with the world around you. But you can still return to your lantern when you like, the same way humans leave and return to their homes. What do you think? She's quiet, thinking much about my words. It's strange to think I could ever return to my lantern after I leave it. That isn't very extreme. I'm used to thinking of more extreme terms, especially about this. Huh? Oh. I accidentally told you something that wasn't quite true again. She looks a little crestfallen at that. I'm sorry. Oh, it's okay. I don't mind. What's on your mind? She smiles with a bit of sadness. Very sad, this fairy. Well, one time when I was in the locker room, I overheard one of the miners say that he accidentally broke his lantern. It just got hit by a little rock and shattered. I can't quite remember, but it might have been the first time I realized escape was possible. Ever since then, I thought of escaping my lantern would mean that I would have to shatter. If that were to happen, I wouldn't be able to return to it. I nod. I see. She smiles a little. Yeah. I wonder if I'll meet the fairy who escaped one day. Something in the man's voice made me think that he saw the light fly out of his lantern when it shattered, and that he didn't quite know how to account for it. It sounded like he was scared of telling others what he saw, because he didn't want to be mocked. That's the sense I got. I continue to paddle. Well, if that's what happened, then I'm glad you weren't the first fairy to be set free. She smiles a little at that, and so do I. Maybe you will meet her again someday. Well, maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if she left this place and went somewhere far, far away. After a time, my friend speaks up. What's your name? Ah, my name's Andrew. This pleases her. It's nice to meet you, Andrew. Thanks. It's nice to meet you too. I wanted to introduce myself to you earlier, but I wasn't sure if you had a name or not. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. She simply smiles. What would you like to name me? I almost dropped my paddle. What? The sweet girl looks at me with alarm and blinks. What? I try to calm down. Earlier I chose to change in the dark because I didn't want a girl to see me naked for no reason. It's true. It's been told. Because I wanted something like that to be more meaningful. Well, my name is something you'll have all your life, you know. A name is something you'll have all your life, you know. I don't know you well enough to give you something important like that. She looks to me with empathy. Andrew. The men who would use me in the mine would talk about all sorts of things. They would talk about their days, their weekends, and their families. They would talk about construction of the dam. One of them was happy to become a father and he had a beautiful newborn baby boy at home waiting for him with his loving wife. And even though working in the mine was hard work, he was glad to be able to support them. But I would hardly be part of any conversation. The humans couldn't see me or talk to me. The only conversations I could have were brief ones with my fellow fairies, and those conversations were really were brief, briefer than you know. Don't you see? Even though I've known you for such a short time, you're already the most important person to me. Uh huh. My heart swells. The way she's saying it, I nod. Even though have only known you for a short time, you're very important to me, too. You want me to name you? She nods. Yes. If that would be okay with you, Andrew. Okay then, I will. I panic a little bit and rack my brain. Then I calm down as I settle on a name that's obvious to me. Obvious and pretty. Ready? She nods with a smile. Yeah. You are Etheria. She looks to me quietly. Etheria? Suddenly, the thought comes to me, and she blushes lightly, looking away. Despite hiding her face from me, she glows more brightly. Thank you, Andrew. She seems to be blushing. I nod. You're welcome, Etheria. If you want a different name. No. It's sweet. Thank you. I smile. You're welcome, Etheria. After naming Etheria, and the two of us talk about various things, as we go to the shore, put some of my things from my luggage bags into my backpack and paddle back to our house. I drop them off through the window and repeat the process. We take things slowly, since we don't want to risk sinking the raft. She talks to me a little bit, but it soon becomes clear she's more used to listening than talking, which should be expected. I'm not much of a talker myself, but I talk to her, especially knowing that she finds the sounds of voices comforting. After a while, though, I get so tired and hungry that I can't find anything else to talk about. I quiet down, therefore, and she helps me with my tasks in silence. Sleepy? I respond sleepily as I put the last of my belongings into my backpack and get back into the raft. Yeah. Today was a busy day. Yeah. She rests in a lantern, relaxing, and very used to the motions of being carried about. What happened before you got here? Hmm. What do I do with the actual luggage bags themselves? I'll come back for them, and they'll be the final trip, I guess, or the final two trips. With the last of my belongings in my backpack, I return to the raft with Etheria and begin paddling back to my place once again. Well, other than an emotional stress of finding my house half flooded, before I got here, I was just a lot of walking, let's say that. I remember a long trek as she looks to me and listens contently. Yeah, yeah. It's a long hike from the highway. How long? How long? I think as I paddle, let's see. I wasn't keeping track of time, but I was walking from about 2:30 p.m. until sunset. Hmm, that's pretty long. I nod sleepily. Andrew? Yeah. I'm glad you aren't working in the mine. Why? Everyone hated it, and new people were always really sore. Physically, I mean. Even the people who stayed didn't actually like it, they only tolerated it. You're a sensitive young man. I don't think it would have suited you. I wouldn't have wanted your heart to be crushed. I blush, touched by her words, and stay quiet for a time. I can't imagine being stuck in that library for 2 months. If you were stuck there for 2 months, I mean, I'm not exactly sure when the flood happened. She smiles with some sleepiness. Let's see. The flood happened some time ago, but I don't remember how long ago to the day. I remember the date everyone had evacuated by, though the miners mentioned it. She tells me the date. It was early last month. I see. That was quite a long time ago. Too long for someone to be trapped on a shelf. Hmm. But at least there was sunshine in the library. It beat being stuck in a place without windows all the time. I remember all the books in my view. That lightens my heart. Yeah? He nods happily. That's right. Let's see. The names. She names a book, one which I happen to recognize. Oh, really? That one's a classic. Lord of the Rings, obviously. She smiles at my interruption. Really? Yeah, I can read it to you sometime. What's it about? Well, how can I put it? In a way that won't spoil anything. Well, it's about a detective who's trying to find a precious stone. Did the men ever talk about this? She smiles and shakes her head. He's present in a few books. The author wrote about him quite a bit. In this one, a member of the ancient family has a panic attack when the precious stone of the family is stolen from the heart socket of a statue. Oh God, adjust. There we go. Oh yeah? She asks, sleepily, listening and enjoying herself. Yeah. There was a legend that the stone was alive, which is why it was put into the statue in the first place. The legend went on to say that the stone was ever removed, or never removed from the statue. The soul in if it was ever removed from the statue, the soul inside would pass on. A member of the family was terrified to find it missing and contacted the detective as soon as he could track it down. He thought if the statue was found and he put it back in the socket quickly enough, the spirit inside might remain in this world. His panic attack really rattled him, and he spent most of the story in the hospital room with his nurse at his bedside. I think she's sleeping, but I know she likes sleeping to the sound of voices. So I continue talking about the plot of the story, and as I continue my task. Thank you for reading the demo of Submerged Lights. I love writing these stories and making the art and music for them. If you like what you saw, please consider wishlisting the game, perhaps picking up the full release when it comes out. Regardless, thank you for reading. Take care. Bye bye. There we go. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. A snoozy story for a snoozy evening on the first day of 2026, New Year's Day. Submerged Lights strikes me as a story under a story. It's about an individual, not the characters. And I see similarities in this person, and I see things in it to myself. The wonderfulness of when you meet a person who is just happy to be with you. There's a lot in this world for a lot of people. If you're someone like myself who sits in the neurodivergent camp, you often feel in workplaces, not in my current one, but in many workplaces I have felt separate, ostracized in some ways, seen as other, and not enough. Constantly lashing upon myself with wreaths of shame, constantly wondering why I can't fit in or why I don't do things the way people want me to do them. Losing people can be tragic, people that you become so familiar with, and these are very painful moments in my life. It is a very difficult thing when you feel you can't make friends or settle in the world around you, and so you become this sort of lone wanderer, a sort of observer of the world from the external view, with an underlying fact, it feels anyway, that you don't belong with them. And there doesn't seem to be anywhere you do belong. And then on one day, you meet somebody. This may be a he or a she or a thing or whatever it may be for you. It could just be a dog, could be a cat. But you meet someone, and they listen to you. It's very strange. It's very heartwarming. It brings tears to your eyes, and you can't cry in front of them because it's very weird. But you think to yourself, God, I really am a very lonely person. And then you meet somebody, and you see it in them too. You can see that they feel the same, and there's a strange click. And the two of you feel like you have to be friends for as long as you can. But it's just so alien. It's such a bizarre feeling. And then to experience somebody who doesn't recoil at you, who doesn't take your strange looks or your strange mannerisms, your wills and won'ts. They don't look at all of that and go, that's an impossible person, get away from them. They just see it as part of who you are. And they learn to work around or with you. And slowly, it is quite nice when they hope to improve you in some form of way. And it's not usually, in my experience, that they want to improve you for their own gain. It's that they see you sitting in your cold, dark, lonely little loft, and they think to themselves, wouldn't it be really nice for him if he went down to the card game shop? Wouldn't it be really nice for him to make some friends? To connect with more people than just me? Not that they don't want to spend time with me, but they just love the idea that I would have friends. Isn't that an interesting thing? And this story brings up feelings like that. This fairy, this light, this stand-in form of a character represents, to me, in my perception of the story, a woman that comes across my path and takes the lid off of my jar. And that's very rare. So there you are. So I am the man on a raft, and you are the fairy in the lantern. And until the next video, keep on paddling. Bye-bye.